Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Amber's World. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me, and I'm so glad that you're here. And if you are not new here and you're already subscribed, if you're already part of my fam, well, welcome back. Today, I present the last episode of the Black Heroes and Sheroes of Today interview series. We did it. We made it. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel, and thank you so much for supporting this series. This is definitely something that is way different than I have done before, but I'm so glad that I stuck to my guns and I really took a chance and went for it, and the result has been well worth it. This next guest that I introduce to you is the owner of the Nothing Bundt Cakes in the Novi location, and is soon to be opening another location. I know her business very well, as I have partaken in a lot of Nothing Bundt Cakes over the few years that it has been here. Nothing Bundt Cakes has been present at many birthday parties, celebrations, and etc. in my life. And so I am so excited to have been able to interview one of the owners of the location that I go to, and just hear her experience and what it's like not only to own a bakery, but just her journey as an entrepreneur. So with that said, and without further ado, I present to you Ms. Kelly Rankin. Where are you from?
So originally I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. So I was born there, and I was there until I was a sophomore in high school. And then we moved to southeastern Michigan, and I finished out my time in high school in Southfield, Michigan.
Did you have any schooling after high school?
Yes, I did. So my undergraduate degree is from Spelman College, and I did graduate work at Walsh here locally. So I have a master's in management, and I have an MBA from Walsh.
Spelman College.
Yes.
I think you were the first person that I know that I had gotten to meet who has actually graduated from Spelman. What was that like?
It was amazing. It is, I speak very fondly of Spelman. I love Spelman. It's my home. I try to get back at least twice a year. COVID has prevented that, obviously. My best friends I met while at Spelman. I was just talking to my best friend Nadra before we got on this particular Zoom. But yes, it warms my heart. It gives me chills every time I talk about Spelman. It was an amazing experience. I kind of fell into it. I was planning on doing something locally, going to Michigan State or U of M. And my yearbook teacher actually said, you need to apply to Spelman College. And I was like, okay, and I looked it up and I'm like, okay, it sounds like it might be great. And like I said, I just sort of fell into it. Best choice of my life. It was just
really,
it just, what I experienced there versus, my primary and secondary education. It was just, I don't know how I know I stutter and I get really, because I love it so much. And it was such a great, I often talk to people about it, and I talk to them about just the lifelong friendships and sisterhood that was rooted there. And it's just, and you don't meet a Spelman woman who isn't successful in her own right in whatever she does. And I just find that to be incredibly impressive. I am humbled and honored to be a part of that sisterhood. It was just amazing. I can't say enough good things about it and how it set me up for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I think that now more than ever, this is the time to also celebrate HBCUs. Absolutely. And especially, with Spelman. Spelman is one of those schools that, like, for me, if I could go back in time and reapply to all HBCUs, that definitely would have been one of them. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like, and I know this isn't everyone's belief, but I think that the notion that HBCUs don't prepare people for the real world is such an outdated statement, especially with the events that have happened politically, that, HBCUs are really where it's at. And it is so important, I believe, because, you have people who have come together under the historical context of, there was a time where we weren't even allowed to read and write, and here we are under the same roof, learning together and growing as adults together. So I'm really glad that you shared your experience at Spelman. And because I try to give people who are HBCU graduates to kind of expound on that experience a little bit for the audience.
Absolutely. And just another point in that, because I was in parochial school the entire time that I was in Ohio. So I went to a Catholic school. It was really a predominantly white institution, if you will, the schools that I attended. And to get to Spelman and be surrounded, it was such a great environment for me, a nurturing environment as it related to being able to see women who had PhDs in math that looked like me, and people who had PhDs in psychology that looked like, it never really even crossed my mind, and I'm a lot older than you are, obviously, but, before, like, and like the Cosby Show was so transformative for so many people. I didn't grow up in a household of professionals, but, they were hardworking people. But it was just a very different experience and such a great experience, and eye-opening. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in the future, like I said, especially with the new vice president being an HBCU graduate, we can get some more funding for HBCUs, because at the end of the day, education is education.
Absolutely.
And where you go doesn't really determine how successful you are. And I think that point has definitely been made, but it's something about that particular experience that I think that is so essential to the Black experience and our growth and development. So with that said, with all that wonderful education behind you, let's talk about your career path. Could you kind of start from the beginning and talk about what led you to becoming business owner?
Absolutely. So right out of undergrad, I really didn't know. I thought I was going to graduate school immediately. My undergrad is in psychology. And I got my feelings hurt. I had applied to several clinical PhD programs, and did not get into any. And so I was sitting there in May, getting ready to come home, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So I actually was able to get an internship with Lear Corporation in the quality department, and I was doing warranty analysis work for Lear. And that parlayed into a career. And by the time I left Lear, I was a senior manager in quality.
Wow.
I then went to work for my uncle, who actually ended up doing a joint venture with Lear. So I went to work for him at Comer Holdings as a director of quality, and then became a vice president of quality. We had 8 plants. And it was, our book of business was over $1 billion. My uncle kept saying to me, Kelly, you need to start your own business. That's how that's how you establish wealth. You need to do this. And he said to me, do you want to own a car dealership? At the time, the big three were really looking to put African American women into being dealership owners, if you will. I had absolutely no interest in owning a car dealership, like nothing about that interested me. I was like, what? No. So anyway, I started doing some research on different avenues of business ownership, and really nothing had really resonated with me. And so I, kind of put it on the back burner and kept doing my job. And then we went to Texas. We were in Dallas, or really in Arlington, which is right outside of Dallas, for an ops review. And the plant manager brought in nothing Bundt Cakes. And I'll never forget it. He brought in a 10-inch lemon. Someone had gifted it to he and his wife. They were having another baby. And he was like, you have to have some of this cake. I'm a germaphobe. It was already cut. So I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, I've not been in this man's house. I don't know that
Right.
But he kept pushing it, and I'm like, okay. So I tasted the cake. It was wonderful, obviously. And I started and he went into this long, we had this long discussion about how his wife wanted to open a location, but, Texas was saturated, et cetera, et cetera. So I started to do some research. And that was probably 3 years before they actually opened up Michigan as an actual development area.
Hmm.
And again, that one had kind of fallen to the back burner. I really, wasn't pursuing it. Um, and we went down for another ops review. My uncle was with me, my counterparts, my HR VP, ops VP, et cetera. And Adrian said to me, "Don't worry, Kelly, I have the Buntinis coming in." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And everybody started tasting them. And they're like, "What is this? Oh my goodness." And I'm like, "I've already checked. They're not up, operating in Michigan yet. They're not doing anything in Michigan." And so my HR counterpart had actually got on his phone. He was like, "Well, Michigan's open now." Long story short, on our way back to the airport, everybody who could stop us stopped us, including the TSA agent, because we were carrying back Buntinis for a colleague who was here who did not travel with us. And my uncle looked at me and he said, "You need to look into this." And so the next week I was on the phone with the development team and started my process.
Fast forward to now.
Mhm.
Did you ever, I don't know, did you ever predict that it would be as successful as it's became?
I thought that it would be, but as a, as an individual who is, I'm very hard on myself.
Mhm.
And so I thought, can you really do this? Can you make it successful? I knew it was a wonderful product. I know the cake is delicious. Um, but there's more to it than that, right? There's the
Yeah.
managing of the business, the growth of the business, managing your people. And so I did. I personally was very concerned that I would be able to do that. And every day, at the end of the day, I kind of go through my list of failures and successes and try to grow and learn from that every day. So I say that to say to you, didn't know it would be as successful as it was, or as it is, excuse me.
Mhm.
And we're continuing to grow, and there's some days where I look at things like I looked at last year's book of business and I was a little bit disappointed, but I had to extend some grace to myself. We were in a
Right.
pandemic. We did, operations were changing every single day. And so we did a really great job last year, and we're still managing through that at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things that, like I said, I'm extremely hard on myself.
Hmm.
So what other people see, sometimes I don't see, and so they have to bring to light, like, do you realize, what you and your team have accomplished and how great things are, and so I'm getting there.
Yeah. And I really want to get into some things because I celebrate the Black entrepreneur. What advice would you give to aspiring business owner, and any students that, that want to be you?
You really want to have as clear a view as you can, and as much information as you can as you start upon that journey, and as many mentors as you can that you can lean on or tap into that can help you when you hit some of those speed bumps, because you will hit some speed bumps.
What is your favorite part about owning Nothing Bundt Cakes?
Yeah. My favorite part is really my favorite part is watching some of my team members grow. Like, I love that we bring joy to the community. I love that people love our cakes. But for example, I've had a couple of employees who have been with me since they were sophomores in high school, and now they're sophomores in college. And just watching that transition, watching that growth over that period, and the really and we talk about this in Nothing But Cakes. It's one of our values is making genuine connections. Um, just being connected to those team members. Like, and literally I have 5 young women who were Novi High School students who have been with me for several years. And just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I was sitting on the couch. I got home at like 7 or so, and I was on the couch and I got a text message from 2 of them. One is at Michigan State and one's down in Texas. And they were just like, "We just want to let you know we love you and you're great and you're awesome and we appreciate everything you've done for us." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome." Um, so making those genuine connections for me really has been my favorite part, bar none. Being able to work closely with people and share, even though we talked about my self doubt and some of the things that are wrapped up in that, but being able to share and really be able to impart some of my knowledge on people and watch them take that and run with it has been really rewarding.
What do you wish to see in the future for the Black entrepreneur?
I really wish to see that they are openly accepted, I wish and hope that they will have the same access to capital that other people have. Um,
Yes.
I wish to see that they are accepted in their communities that they choose to work in and bring jobs to, or however they choose to work. That there is just, the same level of acceptance, um, welcoming, just all of that. That it's the same. That it's a level playing field for
Yeah.
everyone. That's really what I hope to see. And I think we get there a little bit more each day. We take a few steps forward, some steps back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's really what I'm hoping and wishing for them, that it becomes, because it's not easy. It's not, but that it becomes easier for Black people to become entrepreneurs and to really develop into the successful entrepreneurs that we know we can be.
Oh, I really do appreciate you sharing your story, because it's important. People need to hear this. Like, I'm so glad, I'm grateful that I finally got to hear
Mhm.
the story of a nothing Bundt Cakes owner. Like, you guys are so wonderful, and the quality is always there.
Thank
And yeah, I will, of course, I will continue to shop there for sure.
you.
And so before we end our interview, we have to do the rapid fire round. Would you take your red velvet or your chocolate?
Chocolate.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, your red velvet is such a hit. Oh my god.
Well, they're both part of our top four. So,
Really? What are the
yes.
other two? Who are the top
Um,
four?
lemon and white chocolate raspberry. Yes. My favorite flavor though is classic vanilla. So for me,
You had this I think it was like a cinnamon roll.
we had cinnamon swirl when we first opened. Yes,
It
I
was
know.
so good.
We are hoping that will come back at some point. They pulled it. They really want to do some improvement with the recipe. So we're hoping it will come back. That was also my mother's favorite. So
It
she brings
was
it
so
up. She brings it up all the time. I'm like, I know, but
girl, the cinnamon swirl with some vanilla ice cream.
yeah.
Delicious, delicious. Okay, the pandemic is over. Praise God. We can go out. We can go on vacation. So I'm sure you can definitely feel that in your soul, especially as a business owner. So where are you going? Are you going to go to Paris, or are you going to go to Nigeria?
Ooh, Nigeria. I've been to Paris a few times before. I'm very fortunate in being able to say that.
Yes,
So I would like
yes.
to do something new, and that would be very interesting. Yes.
It's Thanksgiving. Somehow, some way, you can only choose one of the key sides. What are you choosing? Are you choosing the macaroni and cheese, or are you choosing the dressing?
Ooh, dressing. Dressing.
I can I can appreciate that. At the beginning, when people were choosing anything other than macaroni and cheese, I was like, what's going on here? What's happening? You're not choosing the macaroni and cheese. But yes, when you some bomb dressing with some gravy is
It's
also
amazing.
undeniable. I mean,
Mhm.
everything on the menu is
It
delicious.
is. It is. It is. But yeah, no, definitely dressing for me. I like macaroni and cheese. I love my mother's macaroni and cheese, but something about her dressing just, yeah, it moves me.
Oh my goodness. Well, Ms. Rankin, thank you so much
Thank you, Amber. I
for
appreciate
giving me a moment of your time. I'm
it.
so glad to finally meet you
Mhm.
and speak to you face to face as we can get. And I wish you luck on the rest of your endeavors. Like, honestly, I'm so glad that your business is still standing after all that's gone on this past year.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Amber. I really appreciate your time.